Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Untold. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about getting absolutely blasted in school. So if you guys like this kind of content, want to see more of it, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that shit. And yeah, let's get this shit going, guys. So this story takes place during my junior year of high school. And I had absolutely no idea anything was going to go down today. Nobody told me anything. I had no clue that Nick was even going to be bringing the cart to school, which we'll get to. So I wake up, get my ass over to school. Once I get there, I'm just chilling in the hallway doing absolutely nothing on my phone. And Nick comes up to me and we start talking. We start shooting the shit about what's going on, like what's happening, dude, like what you been up to. So we're shooting the shit, and eventually the conversation gets over to weed, and we start talking about weed and stuff in general, like when we're going to smoke next. And eventually Nick drops the bombshell. He's got the cart on him. And eventually, to my surprise, he offers to give me the cart, and he says, yeah, you can go smoke at lunch or something. So I'm like, oh, bet. So I get this cart, throw it in my backpack, and then I head over to my first period class. First period class, nothing eventful happens, just normal class. Had the cart in my backpack, didn't hit or anything in class. I'm not that risque, but got the cart on me. First period ends, I head over to lunch. And at lunch, I sit down with the homies, go to my lunch table, and then I start shooting the shit with the homies as per usual. Get to lunch, sit down, grab your food, just start shooting the shit as per usual, just the usual high school fucking banter you have with your friends. And eventually I start talking to this guy, Sal, who's sitting at the table with me, and I say, yeah, I got this card on me, we should go smoke. And he's like, oh shit, bet. So, yeah, I like how we're having this conversation just like casually in fucking high school. It's just like, yeah, let's go smoke during the fucking day. Yeah, bet, you know? But yeah, we're having this conversation. Eventually, yeah, we decide we're going to go smoke. So we eat our lunch, and maybe we got 20 minutes left in the lunch period. And we head out and we go smoke. And it's important to mention that we're not supposed to actually be leaving school. Our school had two different buildings, had the north building and the south building. And sometimes you would have a class in the main building, the north building was the main building, and then you'd have a class in the south building like right after it. So you'd have to go and like cross the street and like go to your next period class in the other building. So you were allowed to like leave the school, but like only when you're like in a passing period. It's like in between periods. So you were not supposed to be leaving school when you're not in a passing period. So we kind of had to just book it out of the school in front of these security guards and hope they didn't say anything to us. And luckily this day they didn't. So we got our asses out of the school and we start walking down. And we start walking down towards the water. Yet again, the ultimate spot is just walking down towards the water. And yeah, we got maybe 20 minutes left in this lunch period. And by the time we get outside, it's maybe down to 15. But it's also important to mention that I had found out from a friend that I was going to have a sub next period. So this was very important because it meant that I had a little bit more time to hang out outside. So me and Sal didn't have a sub actually, but he decided he was going to like be a little bit late to class, so that was fine with him. So we're smoking outside, and eventually we're maybe out there for like 30 minutes. So maybe I'm like 10 minutes late to my next class, and Sal is 10 minutes late to his class too. So we start deciding to head back, and we're absolutely faded. So we're like walking back, we're stumbling kind of on our way back and shit. We're just laughing, having a nice ass time. And we get back to school, and our eyes are red as shit. I look at Sal's eyes, and his eyes are fucking bloodshot as fuck. And he looks at mine, he tells me the same fucking thing. So we're walking back into school, and we have to get past these security guards. But luckily, the lunch period had ended, so it could have been a little bit plausible that we were just in the passing period, but getting out late from our last class. So it didn't really seem like we were like cutting class or anything to security guards. So we just make our way back into school, and I head up to my next period class, which happened to be in the computer lab. And this was like some kind of programming class or some bullshit. I don't really remember. It was some like bullshit coding class. And the teacher happened to be absent that day. I think her name was Miss Black. Usually was the teacher. Not that it matters, but so I start walking back up to my next period class, and the moment I get outside the door, first off, I realized the door was closed because the class had already started. So I had to like knock on the door to like get somebody to open it because the door's locked the moment you close them from the inside. So I can't get in from the outside. I don't have a key. I'm not a fucking teacher or anything. So I have to knock on the door to get somebody to let me in. I knock on the door, and Rafath, this other guy, and one of my homies, Rafath, opens the door because he sees me through the window, and he takes one look at me and he says, "Holy shit." He puts his hand on my shoulder and fucking walks my ass to my seat. Like, this guy fucking knew I was baked out of my mind. So he puts his hand on my shoulder, walks back to my fucking seat. I sit down, and I'm just chit chatting with the homies. Like, I'm just shooting the shit, saying what's up. And I'm high as fuck. And everyone around me, like, there's like 3 or 4 close homies around me that I'm talking to. And these people all fucking know that I'm baked as shit. And yeah, they know I'm fucking sent. So we decided that because there's a sub in the class, we're not doing any work. So even though there was like the teacher had left us some assignment, and we just said fuck it, and we just didn't do that shit. Like when you have a sub, like you're not doing the fucking work the teacher leaves for you. Fuck that shit. So we decided that we're gonna play some iMessage games on our phones. So we decided we're gonna hop on Uno because all the other games are like 2 players, and there was like 4 of us. So we wanted to play a game that all of us could get in on. So we started playing some Uno, and we're just playing round after round of this shit. And I'm actually winning a decent amount of the game, surprisingly. Like I know Uno's not like a strategy-based sort of game, but like it kind of is. There's a strategy bit to it, honestly, but it's not like a strategy-based game. So I know, like, even though I was baked as fuck, I could still like play the game reasonably well, and I did. I won a couple games, and eventually the period ends, and I start going over to my next period class, and this is where it gets a little bit iffy and a little bit scary, because my next period class was this digital art class with this teacher, Mr. Smith, who you guys might remember from a previous video. I mentioned him at the High at the History Fair video. He was the tech team like leader. The tech team that I was on, he was like the leader of it, and he was also like a computer teacher, like a digital art teacher, which is like photography and like video editing and like photo editing, Photoshop, all that shit. So I go to this next period class with him, and this is where I start to get a little bit worried because he doesn't know I smoke or anything, and I'm really chill with this guy, and I don't, and he's like chill with my like parents too and shit. So I feel like if he caught me high, he would probably tell my parents, which was not something I wanted them to find out about. So I get to this class and I sit down and I am just trying my fucking hardest to not let this guy know that I'm high. Like I'm sitting there and I'm like constantly fucking blinking, trying to get more water in my eye to make my eyes less red. I'm like fidgeting in my chair, trying to like I'm like trying to sit still, but I'm like fidgeting and shit. Like I'm just trying to like look at my computer screen and not look at him so he doesn't see my eyes. Like I'm trying my best to keep this guy from like not looking at me. And luckily, this entire period was perfectly normal. Like I just did my work, did everything, and this entire period was perfectly fine. Like nobody suspected anything. Like I didn't have any friends in that class who really like knew me that well, so like nobody really no the word didn't get around to them that I had smoked at lunch or anything. So yeah, I get through this class, but it's important to mention that this class was like 90 minutes long, as were all of the other classes in my high school. Like they were all, except for lunch. Lunch was a 40-minute lunch, but fucking every other like actual class was a 90 fucking minute period. So I had a lot of time to sober up in between, like when I first got to that class, when the class ended. So the rest of the day I wasn't really that high at all. I just was coasting through the rest of the day, sort of like baked for a little bit, and then just completely sobered up by the end of it. So that's about it for this video, guys. Hope you guys found it fucking interesting. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe down below, of course. And I will see you guys next time, boys. Hope you guys have a great fucking rest of your day.